So I had a lot of ideas while at work for things that I needed to do and what I was going to do on my next update. And I've at least got the game much closer to an MVP or minimum viable product that I want it to be. I've, but I've got a 10-month-old that's in bed, and I just played a game of League of Legends, and then I lost. And so then I was like, okay, time to start getting to work. My main goal for this session was to implement the first-person shooter mode bounding box that I've been wanting to do since like day 2 or 3 to copy the Wii Call of Duty style games. And trust me when I say this, I didn't even try to do it. Instead, I did bug fixes and feature implementation, kind of like the title says. So to start, the first thing I wanted to do was I needed a way to actually track ammo in game instead of in the just console at the bottom of Unity. Most games typically have an ammo counter to the right or bottom right, so I decided to start implementing that. Tried using Text Mesh Pro, and it didn't update property, but using the legacy text UI features made it look kind of blurry. And then Bob, ChatGPT, reminded me how to implement Text Mesh Pro, and it was honestly pretty easy to get to work. Just turns out that I needed to actually import the functionality of using Text Mesh Pro. Shockingly, that was it. So I got it to read 0/0 null when nothing was equipped, so that was working. Equipped a gun, and it showed exactly how much ammo. Same thing with a shotgun. And so after I got the 0/0 null to show up, I tried to actually exclude that from showing up when nothing was equipped. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just use the integer for ammo and gun or the max ammo. I'll set it to where if it's saying 0 or until it's increased to anything, just completely just print out blank space so that nothing shows up, and that didn't work. So then I was like, okay, maybe because I'm importing the weapon name, because it'll say like 0 slash or not 0, it'll say like 13/156 pistol, so it tells you what ammo and the weapon name. Maybe I'll just import, if the weapon name is null and there's nothing in that variable, don't put anything. And I tried that, and it didn't work. So instead, I was just like, whatever, it's saying null. Why don't we just say if it's actually literally saying null, don't output anything? And actually, that works on the first try. So after that, still couldn't bother doing the bounding box. Looked at the time, saw I probably should go to sleep in like the next hour and a half or so. Maybe hour, I don't know. And I was like, fixing the wave manager shouldn't be too bad. And it turns out I was actually kind of right. Previously, I was trying to keep track of the number of zombies killed, and when I hit that same number as the number spawn, the next wave would start after 2-3 seconds. And that worked actually once or twice, but I think essentially what would happen is if a zombie died via multiple bullets at once, such as through the shotgun, it would trigger the counter to increase for each bullet that hit instead of just once. And then it would either just skip the value altogether or luckily land on the value exactly and cause the next wave to start immediately, even if there were still zombies left. So instead, I basically triggered the waves by setting a boolean in the player script that only updated when the first weapon was grabbed. This way, players can't start the wave without having a weapon to defend themselves. Previously, I just had it set to pushing a button, and as we know with this game, I want it to be mouse only and no buttons involved, except for reloading and swapping weapons, I guess. And while the bool is true, it'll check to see if another boolean is false, and if it is, it'll turn the latter one true. And this one I just call the lock bool, and set allow spawn to be true. Now, whenever allow spawn is true, it immediately sets itself to false, but starts a wave. Essentially, the allow spawn is now going to be the key variable to actually start spawning new waves for all future instances. Once the zombie death counter is actually the same as the spawn counter, allow spawn turns back onto true, resets zombie death counter to 0, and increases the spawn counter, and starts with the next wave. As for stopping it counting the death multiple times, basically I just updated the zombie death counter logic, and I changed it to have a boolean, I think, a set to false, that then sets to true immediately after confirming that the zombie has died and increases it by 1. And that seemed to actually fix the problem. So, as you may be watching, my avid follower and viewer, that is how I fixed the wave system and set up an ammo counter in about the time span of 2.5 hours or so. instead of doing what I actually intended to do today.